5 Ways Jesus Beats Stoicism. In a world obsessed with hacks for a resilient mind, one particular ancient philosophy has gone viral. Stoicism, and for good reason. It's a powerful, rational, and time-tested philosophy for building mental fortitude. The names of its masters, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, have become synonymous with wisdom, discipline, and an unshakable inner peace. They offer a fortress for the soul, but what if that fortress, as strong as it is being built on sand, and may not withstand the storms when they come? Stoicism gives you incredible tools to weather the storms of life. But what if the goal isn't just to endure the storm, but to overcome them? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 5 ways the teachings of Jesus offer something fundamentally more life-changing. We're going to uncover 5 areas where Jesus provides a more complete answer to life's ultimate questions, addressing our deepest needs for grace, love, and a purpose that goes beyond mere survival. Now, let's be clear from the start. This isn't a video to bash Stoicism, far from it. There's a reason millions are drawn to it, especially today. In an age of anxiety and outrage, Stoicism offers a compelling path to tranquility. It rightly teaches us to distinguish between what we can control and what we can't, a lesson that could save us a lifetime of frustration. It champions virtue, discipline, and self-control. The Apostle Paul himself, speaking to philosophers in Athens, found common ground with Stoic thought, agreeing that a virtuous and content life is a noble pursuit. Both the Stoic and the Christian agree that we shouldn't be slaves to our appetites or to public opinion. Both understand that a meaningful life requires discipline. Both value wisdom, courage, and justice. In many ways, the Stoics were asking all the right questions. They looked at the chaos of the human condition and sought a way to live a good life despite it all. But as we'll see, while Stoicism provides an admirable roadmap for navigating reality, the teachings of Jesus offer a power that can fundamentally change that reality. Stoicism gets you to the very edge of what's humanly possible. But it can't take you that one final step where true transformation is found. That transformation that makes you a new creation. 1. Jesus offers grace as opposed to self-reliance. The first, and perhaps most foundational difference, lies in the source of our strength. At its heart, Stoicism is a powerful call to radical self-responsibility. The ideal is to build what Marcus Aurelius called an inner citadel, a mental fortress immune to the outside world, built brick by brick through your own reason and discipline. The essential message is that virtue is sufficient for happiness, and it's on you to cultivate it. It's your reason and your will against the world. This is an empowering and noble idea, but it also places an immense, and for many, an ultimately crushing burden on the self. What happens when your willpower fails? What happens when the fortress you've built is overwhelmed by a wave of grief so powerful that reason drowns? This system leans so heavily on your strength that it struggles to account for your weakness. While Stoics believe in living according to the divine order, the engine of your moral life is your own will. So what happens when that engine sputters? This is where the teachings of Jesus present a radically different path. Jesus begins not with your human strength, but with an honest admission of your human weakness. Jesus introduces a concept largely absent from Stoicism: grace. Grace is unearned favor. It's a gift. While the Stoic says, "Master yourself," Jesus says, "Surrender to God." While Stoicism is about what you can achieve, Jesus is about what you can receive. The Apostle Paul, a man who endured more hardship than a dozen Stoic philosophers, summarized this shift perfectly. He pleaded with God to remove a thorn in his flesh, a source of great suffering. God's reply wasn't a Stoic command to simply endure it better. Instead, his response in 2 Corinthians 12:9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." And Paul's response in the same verse, "Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." Think about that. God's power is made perfect in weakness. For the Stoic, weakness is a flaw to be patched with more reason. For the Christian, acknowledging weakness is the very feature that allows God's power to flow into your life. Stoicism is like trying to charge a device with its own dwindling battery, versus Christianity is like plugging it into an infinite power source. Stoicism champions self-sufficiency, which can feel isolating. Christianity teaches God's sufficiency, which leads to relationship. The Stoic stands, pulling himself up by his own bootstraps. The Christian kneels, and in that surrender, finds he is being lifted by arms far stronger than his own. 2. Jesus offers relationship as opposed to reason. The second difference is the answer to the question, what is the ultimate reality? Both Stoicism and Christianity use the exact same Greek word, logos, but what they mean by that word couldn't be more different. For the Stoics, the logos is the divine reason, the impersonal, rational principle that orders and permeates the universe. It's the underlying logic of the cosmos. To live a good life, a Stoic must align their own reason with this universal logos. It's a grand and intellectually satisfying concept, suggesting the universe isn't random chaos, but this logos is a principle, not a person, a force, not a father. While a Stoic can live in harmony with the logos, the relationship is one of alignment, not intimacy. But Christianity makes a simple claim. The Gospel of John opens not with a philosophical treatise, but with a divine truth. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh, and dwelt among us. In Jesus Christ, the Word who gives meaning and order to everything, became a person you could talk to, touch, and have a relationship with. This is a complete paradigm shift. The goal is not just to align your mind with a rational principle. The goal is to enter into a loving relationship with a personal God. Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations as notes to himself, a man reasoning with his own soul. The Christian life, by contrast, is built on a dialogue with God. It's called prayer. Instead of just looking inward to our own reason, we're invited to look upward to a God who listens and cares. The Stoic conception of God is often seen as the rational soul of the universe, a force that is good but doesn't intervene in a personal way. The God of Jesus Christ is a father who is intimately involved in the lives of his children. Think of it like this. Stoicism gives you the owner's manual for the universe, logical and helpful. But try digesting and understanding that manual on your own. It's tough. But Christianity introduces you to the author of the manual, who knows you by name and invites you to walk with him daily as he works through the manual with you. I choose this option any day. 3. Jesus offers transformation as opposed to endurance. When suffering arrives, and it always does, Stoicism and Christianity offer two vastly different strategies. The Stoics' answer to suffering is endurance, built on a foundation of meaning. It teaches you to bear pain with courage and rational detachment. For the Stoic, hardship is an opportunity to practice virtue, a kind of moral workout. Suffering is an external, and it cannot harm your inner self unless you allow it to. The goal is apatheia, which means freedom from being controlled by destructive emotions. You still feel emotions, but they no longer own you. You don't get whipped around by anger, envy, fear, or anxiety. You respond instead of react. Your inner state stops being hostage to external chaos. It's a philosophy of grit, of steeling yourself against life's harsh realities. This is a powerful coping mechanism. It can prevent a person from being shattered by tragedy. But notice the approach. It's about managing your reaction to suffering. Jesus offers something else entirely. He doesn't just say, endure the storm. He says, I am with you in the storm. Jesus' response to suffering is not just endurance, but transformation. The Bible doesn't teach us to suppress our emotions, but to bring them to God. Look at Jesus himself. When his friend Lazarus died, Jesus didn't display stoic apatheia. The shortest verse in the Bible says, Jesus wept. He was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Facing the cross in Gethsemane, he wasn't a detached philosopher. He was in anguish, crying out to his Father. Jesus shows us that deep emotion isn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of being fully human. Furthermore, Christianity insists that suffering can have a redemptive purpose. Paul writes, we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. For the Christian, suffering isn't just a test of virtue. As Christians, we don't just suffer for suffering's sake. It's often a tool in God's hands to shape us into something more beautiful. While the Stoic builds an inner fortress to protect himself from suffering, the Christian believes God himself entered into suffering on the cross. He doesn't just give us rules for dealing with pain. He meets us in our pain with empathy and grace. Stoicism provides a shield. Jesus offers a hope that transforms you through the pain. 4. Jesus offers hope as opposed to acceptance. Every worldview must eventually reckon with death. And here, the contrast is stark. The Stoic approach to death is one of dignified acceptance. Death is a natural part of the cosmic order, governed by the logos. To fear it is irrational. The goal is to accept death as a natural event, a return to the cosmic whole from which we came. They make little mention of a personal afterlife. The focus is on living this life well. This is the philosophy of amor fati, accepting all things, including your own dissolution into the universe, as part of nature's design. This perspective is courageous. It strips death of its terror by framing it as a logical conclusion. But the peace it offers is the peace of resignation. It's accepting that your individual story ends, and that's okay. Christianity looks at death and says something entirely different. The story is just beginning. The Christian response to death is not acceptance, but hope. And this isn't wishful thinking. It is a confident expectation grounded in a historical event, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Paul, in his letter to the Thessalonians, says Christians should not grieve as others do who have no hope. 1 Thessalonians 4:13. He doesn't say don't grieve. Grief is natural. But Christian grief is different because it is infused with hope. He continues, "For since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so, through Jesus, God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep." 1 Thessalonians 4:14. This changes everything. For the Stoic, death is a return to an impersonal cosmos. For the Christian, death is a doorway into the presence of a personal, loving Father. Christianity doesn't just promise a cloudy spiritual existence, it promises a future bodily resurrection and the renewal of all creation. Where Stoicism says, "This world is all there is, so make the best of it," Christianity says, "This world is a shadow of the world to come, so live this life with eternal significance." The Stoic bravely faces a hopeless end for the individual. The Christian, because of Jesus, faces an endless hope. 5. Jesus offers love as opposed to apathy. Our final point cuts to the heart of what it means to live a good life, the clash between the Stoic ideal of apatheia and the Christian command to love. We've already touched on the fact that the Stoic goal is apatheia, which is freedom from irrational, disruptive passions. It's about achieving an emotional tranquility that can't be disturbed by things outside your control. In this framework, deep emotional attachment, especially to people you could lose, can be seen as a liability. Vulnerable, passionate love is a threat to the inner fortress you've built. While Stoics endorse rational affection for others, they warn against emotions that could hijack your reason and compromise your peace. But Jesus presents a highest aim that is the polar opposite. The greatest commandment isn't to protect the self, but to give the self away. He says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind," and a second is like it. "You shall love your neighbor as yourself." Love, in the Christian sense, is the exact opposite of apatheia. It is inherently vulnerable. It demands you care deeply about something outside your control, God and other people. It requires you to open the gates of your inner fortress and risk getting wounded. C.S. Lewis captured this perfectly. To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. The only place outside of heaven where you can be perfectly safe from all the dangers and heartaches of love is hell. Jesus' entire life was a demonstration of this. He was moved with compassion for the crowds. He rejoiced with his friends and wept with them. His ultimate act on the cross wasn't one of rational detachment. It was the ultimate act of passionate, sacrificial love. Where Stoicism teaches you to manage your emotions to preserve your peace, Christianity calls you to channel your passions toward loving God and serving others. The goal is not to feel less, but to love more. So, where do we land? We see that Stoicism, with its focus on virtue, discipline, and reason, is a noble and powerful philosophy. It offers a sturdy map for navigating the difficult terrain of life. The teachings of Jesus offer something more. Where Stoicism emphasizes self-responsibility, Jesus offers grace, a strength made perfect in our weakness. Where Stoicism points to an impersonal principle, the Logos, Jesus reveals that the Logos is a personal God who loves you. Where Stoicism teaches us to find meaning in enduring suffering, Jesus shows us how suffering can be transformed by a God who suffers with us. Where Stoicism offers dignified acceptance of returning to the cosmos, Jesus provides a defiant hope in a personal resurrection. And where Stoicism champions a tranquil detachment, Jesus commands a world-changing, sacrificial love. Stoicism helps you build a fortress for your soul. Jesus asks for the keys to that fortress, to make it a home. He doesn't just give us a philosophy to live by, he gives us his own spirit to live within us. Stoicism can steady your heart, but Christ can renew it. Because the peace the Stoics longed for was never ultimately found in perfecting human reason, but in knowing a person. The person of Jesus Christ. If this gave you a new perspective, share your thoughts in the comments below. What resonates with you? And be sure to subscribe for more content that explores life's deepest questions. Thanks for watching.